Okay, here we go. Another day, another video. As you might see, I'm at my home Iceland Karmøy studio, and I am actually brought out some of my very old paintings and drawings and stuff. And I would like to show you what I was talking about in a video I did 2nd of April about talent and how you can evolve your skills, how any human being can actually learn most things and become an artist if that is what you like to do. Many people have a tendency, that is what they tell me, oh, I don't have talent to do this, I don't have talent to do that, I could never do this and never do that. Well, it's kind of an incremental growth. The more you do it, the better you get, and that is how the brain works. We have about, I would say about 100 billion neurons in our brains, and every single neuron has up to 30,000 links to other neurons. And we are basically a chemical and biological computer which is changing all the time compared to what we do. That is why you can go from not being able to do any martial arts at all to do really good in it, or not being able to draw or paint to be quite good. Now, is there a limit to... I'm just going to turn off that oven. Maybe it makes a lot of noise. Sorry about that. It's almost winter time now, so it's getting a little bit cold in here. Is there a limit to how good you can get? Is there some people who actually have a talent for certain things more than other people? I don't know. For my part, I just used my basically ADHD and hypomania to put enough effort into it to come to the point I am now. And I'm not saying that I'm done, and not at all, because I have a long way to go before I will start feeling that I'm reaching my ideals, which is Turner, Rembrandt, Vermeer, and all these great painters and artists who ever lived. And within my lifetime I will probably never reach that anyway, but I can sure as hell try. You know, I can sure as hell do it the best that I can do. Because the only person worth competing with is yourself. I'm not competing with Rembrandt. I'm not competing with other artists. I'm only competing with myself. Other accomplished artists, other dead artists, other dead heroes are just some kind of objective standard to stretch yourself towards. You should not be in competition. Be only in competition with yourself, and make sure you're an honest person. Make sure you're speaking truth. And I'm not only talking subjective truth, because everybody can talk subjective truth. What is important is to find some objective standard and link your truth to the objective standard. When it comes to the cosmos and existence and everything beside art, I have science. I have reason, I have philosophy, I have a lot of dead heroes which I can look up and they tell me about reality, especially when it comes to science. It's just, you have to be scientific literate to be able to have a constructive and a conversation about anything. If you don't know anything, you can't talk about anything, okay? And that's just a fact. Anyway, my point is there some genome that some people have? Maybe. Maybe some people can push it further than other people. Maybe there is a part of the population who has more this warrior gene, who would stand with the shields when the enemy kind of molds them and really stand their ground. Maybe there is these kinds of people. Maybe everybody can evolve into that kind of person if they are stimulated to it. Or maybe it is just some people are born cowards. We don't know. But there's one thing that is really important. That is, we don't know who it is. You can't know before you have tried. And if you even have tried, you don't even know if you have tried hard enough. So you are kind of trapped in this. You just have, we as human beings, I think the good way to think is to think that everybody, every human being on this planet, every island of consciousness, if given the possibility to open up and go into deep introspection and deep thinking and getting the right knowledge and nourishing, not being abused as a child or be living in abject poverty where you can't really get out, or underneath some dictator or some theocracy that just suppresses your whole being. If you can pull people out of that, I think that every single human being on the planet can become an astronaut or an artist or a scientist or a poet or a philosopher. That is my kind of work ethics, if you like, or work hypothesis or work theory. I think it's so much evidence to that actually basically confirm my hypothesis here, that we can actually go as far as calling it a theory, and that is why I say this. And also, of course, me as a person is not a scientific proof about anything, except from I am human. I learned to paint from basically nothing when I was 21. I show this in the other video. This was the first drawing I did when this is basically the first drawing I did when I started in 1988. There was a girl called Heidi who got me to start drawing, and I was so pleased with it. I'm going to show it to you a little bit closer if it's possible. And I can say this with all honesty, I really thought this was a great drawing. When then I went into drawing school, and one of my first paintings was this. And when I had this, is called the constant balance on the knife's edge, this famous knife's edge, and it's 1889, so it was 80 on actually autumn in 89. I did this, and if I could go from this and this to what I do today, anyone can. And the funny thing is that I was so pleased with this. I remember I came in, there was a ring of students that everybody has thrown their drawings and stuff for this assignment, or what do you call it, on the floor. And I was always a little bit late because I'm hyperactive and I can't really get to sleep and can't get up and stuff, so I was a little bit late, and I came in and I was so pleased with myself. You have no idea how pleased I was with myself. And I just took this painting and I threw it on the floor, and I just, when I see it in retrospect, when I see it now, they just gasped. And my teacher, Cicely Koppelstad, which is a beautiful woman, she actually got me into painting. She was my teacher. She just started laughing, and it was so funny, because looking at this today, it was really a bit of shock. And the thing is that people are so bloody polite. I mean, what kind of narcissists are pleased with this shit, you know? And I probably was a narcissist back then. Not a sociopath, but I had narcissistic traits, there is no doubt about it. And I really thought this was a great thing. You know, there's one thing I should tell. This was, of course, drawn from my head. I didn't look at anything when I was doing it. So I would say that if I should actually draw something from my head today, because I'm what I would say a bad copying machine, it wouldn't necessarily be that much better, because I really need something to look at. Of course I know more about color now, I know more about proportions and stuff, and there's one thing with this which I can see, and I can still see it in my paintings. It is sorry about that. It's cold in here. It is totally without compromise. It is all in. There is no boundaries. There is nothing stopping me. It is all in. You know, it's just whammy. Okay, and that thing I have in myself. I've had it in martial arts. I have it in even in fights. If I get into a fight, I'm just ruthless. I never start a fight. I'm very polite. I would never hurt a single person. But if somebody starts a fight with me, it's all in. It is just all in. And I've been like that the whole my life. You know, it's everything I do is just all in. I also had a double hip replacement because I trained my hips to pieces. So that was also all in. When I started drinking too much, it was basically all in. And I drank 3 times a week until it was empty. It wasn't any more alcohol in the ashtray, if you know what I mean. Then all the regrets and that shit, and that lasted a few years, and then I worked myself out of that. Now I drink like 1 bottle of wine a month, just for fun. So, but anyway, maybe there's, as I said, something with being an extreme person that pushes you. But I do know other people who doesn't have this outgoing personality, who is actually better than me and more focused, but maybe they don't have that wildness in what they are doing. Like this painting this was from, it must have been, let's see when it was from. I'm gonna go through these things. It was done 1992. So in 1989 I did this, and I did this in 1992. And this is actually one of my favorites, because I just took it, brought it back out from a roll, and then got some damage in it and stuff. And I found it was actually not so bad painting. But anyway, I just wanted to start it up with this. And now I'm just going to close down, and I'm going to just show you some of my paintings and talk a little bit about texture and how I evolved, stuff like that. So I hope you maybe got something out of this. If you're in the start of becoming a painter, my recommendation is just go big. Just do stuff that you can't possibly manage to finish. Just push yourself. It's like building a muscle. You have to push it to the breaking point to build. And sometimes you get injured, but that is a part of the process. So just go big, go all the way, as the author was saying, go all the way. What is it? That alcoholic guy. Well, I can't really remember that, but go all the way. Okay, yeah. Cheers, and I will now keep showing you my stuff. So, just need a sip of my almost cold coffee. It's actually dripping from the roof here because it's raining. Always raining where I come from. and we're gonna actually fix the roof now, and it's gonna be better in winter time also, so that's good. It's been dripping on me. Okay, thank you, and I will now just cut it into segments, and there will also be chapters and description, so I hope you just use them. Okay. Okay, here it is. You know, the famous, this must become my most famous drawing, because it is just priceless. It is just so amazing that I could go from this, really meaning it, from this. The funny thing is she was a quite pretty girl. But I kind of did catch the main, almost like a character drawing. But you know, it is just 100% a 10 or 8-year-old drawing. So I actually then went from this to where I am now. It took me like 30 years, and with a lot of bumps along the way, with some wasted time and you know, all kinds of shit. I could have become so much longer if I actually were more focused. So if I could tell you one thing, do not throw away 10 years on your life on too much partying, because you know, you don't have time for it. You know, our time in existence is so limited that please, whatever you do, do not waste time or money. Money is freedom, and time is a thing you will never ever get back. So if I should give one advice to young artists, don't think you have good time, because you don't. I was just 21 starting in art school. Now I'm 53 and wonder what happened. Anyway. And voila, that's the first. I consider this to be one of my first paintings. And yeah, there's no doubt that I have a secret expressionist inside me. And it is no secret that in the fall 1989, I had absolutely no skill whatsoever. And even my mother remembered this, and she was shocked when she saw it. yeah. Karmøy, 1809-89. Oh, and I was so pleased with this. So if you're starting up as a painter, don't despair. There's hope for, if it was hope for me, there's definitely hope for anyone who want to start up. But you have to work hard, and you have to work consistently, and you have to love what you do, and you have to be extremely self-critical, because at this point I had no introspection. I just didn't know the difference between objective reality and subjective opinion or feelings. That was intertwined into the same thing. And I think it is also the reason why people are religious, because they can't really see the difference between their emotions. And that is why you have many different religions who's fighting each other. I mean, if Christianity was true, I mean, there shouldn't be any Islam or Hinduism or Buddhism, should it? There should have been one truth. And everybody should understand that this was objective truth. But religion isn't objective truth. It is based on emotion. And that is why, and the same thing here. I thought this was good because I thought it was good. And therefore, it had to be good. And that's the absurdity of not knowing the difference between objective standard and subjective reality. And that is why I urged in the beginning of the first segment in the video, study science, study objective reality, and let that be your guide. Do not follow your feelings. You feel when you kiss. You feel when you paint. You feel when you have sex, and you feel when you dance. But when you're going to solve real problems, you lean to objective reality. Okay? Cool. Now, this one is quite funny because it is actually exactly the same concept as this one. And it's the same text, a constant balance on the famous knife's edge, Ferdinand Finne. There was a Norwegian artist called Ferdinand Finne who said that because a constant balance on the famous knife's edge. And it was this, yeah, we got this, oh, I tried it again. I don't really remember why I did it again. But of course you can see that I have at least gotten some control over the framing, some control over the use of color. It is, of course, it still stinks to high heaven, and it's symbolic, and it, of course, is so symbolic that it clearly lacks any objective standard or any deep introspection. But at least I started to get a little bit of control, and I guess I maybe thought that was a little bit of a stretch. So yeah, so this was kind of a little bit better, I think. Yeah, so, and that was 12/11/89, so that was actually a couple of months later. So I guess, yeah. See you in the next segment. And voila, my try when it comes to Edvard Munch. And looking at this and looking at that, it might be some kind of, shall we say, connection. But this was one of the first tries I did when it came to this, probably gouache. I did Madonna of Edvard Munch. It is probably, it doesn't say when it was done, but it's probably 1989 also. And since it has a frame on it, it probably is later than fall that year, maybe after Christmas or something like that. So, yeah, this is the first try. And I actually have a second one that I'm going to show. And voila, here you have it. It is the second try, probably, and it's a little bit better. I kind of evolved for every single thing I did, and I remember my teacher, Sissel Kobberstad, told me that I did the kind of tiger jumps. Every time I did something, I just learned from it, and I was kind of jumping from, basically, from getting better for every time I did something. So I had that going for me, and of course my hyperactivity and my stamina made me able to do it over time. So yeah, it's a little bit better, I think so. And of course Munch is one of my favorites. At this time he wasn't, because I only liked paintings that were very, very slick and very classical and very without any bumps and without much paint or brushwork, because I didn't understand brushwork at this time and the beauty of it. But that came later. So, but now Munch is basically one of my favorite. At least some of his works. Not all of his works, but some. This is not really my favorite. My favorite of Munch is Sick Child, by far the best one I know of. So yeah, check it out. Sick Child of Edvard Munch. This is Madonna. Voila, here we have some drawings. I'm going to show you some drawings. And this one is of course in, let me see, it's 28/11/89. So it's basically at the same time. You can actually see here that I do not understand the art of simplicity. And I'm basically trying to get everything in. And I have no skill to be able to fix it. You can actually see all the chairs here. I have just gone all in trying to get every single chair, and it's kind of sweet in many ways, because I know exactly how it is to be unable to do the things do it in this way, and what you actually don't have when you're doing things like this, and the amount of skill you don't have. And as I said in many videos before, one of the ways to be able to get better, as you get better, you will be able to foresee what's going to happen in the future in your drawings or paintings, so you can actually plan them. Here, I had no idea at all. And it's quite funny, yeah. So, next one. So, here we have another drawing. I remember clearly drawing this because I felt so pleased with being able to make these kind of things happen, like the glass is kind of distorting the perspective and stuff like that, and the grapes, how they distorted it. So I started to kind of absorb or see things better. This was done 15/12/89, so it's still in the same realm, but I'm getting a little bit better, and it took quite a while to do this. I actually remember sitting there drawing it. It took for ages, and that's the thing I said in the beginning. When you start drawing, you have to give yourself challenges that just is impossible for you to manage, and push yourself and do all these objects in one thing was really difficult. I mean, even today, painting one single object is very difficult. But at that time, I didn't really know how difficult it was. So I kind of just kept banging on. And yeah, it's not so bad actually. It's starting to become a little bit better. And here we have another drawing. And it says KIV 1990. So I guess this is after Christmas on a new year. And this is basically what I did. It's called Interior, just probably a school assignment. And it kind of starts to at least understand a little bit of shadow and stuff. It's very limited, but it's starting to evolve. And it's funny to see these things actually, because it's, as I say, for me it's just amazing to what shall I say, I know how I was thinking. I know how it is to have no skill, and it is quite amazing in itself. Anyway, okay, here you actually have a gouache, and I did some gouache. I used to do it. I haven't done it in many years. As you saw, I also did the Munch things. I think it's probably from the 1990s also. It's probably an assignment from the drawing school I went to. It's not that horrible. I started to understand a certain amount of color. I can see the yellows and the blue and complementary colors. I can also see that I of course struggled with the trees, which I still do, to be honest. it's very hard to do, because they are basically, you have the laws of the universal laws, and to get it right you really have to emulate the mathematics of the universe, and it's quite hard, but it wasn't so bad. So surprised me even. I couldn't even remember having done it, so I just pulled it out of my closet where my old stuff is, and it surprised even me, actually. It wasn't that bad. Anyway, next. And here is a bigger gouache drawing that I probably did at the same time, you know, in the probably 1990s, because I'm starting to actually acquire some skill here, and a little bit, and it's starting to kind of become something. I know I did this from Natura, and it's a gouache or aquarelle or both, and it's not that bad. So you see that I'm acquiring more and more skill, and yeah, it's not so bad. I just want to show it to see how it kind of slowly becomes better. So yeah. Okay, here we go. I'm now moving on to art school, or this is actually the end of the first year when I went to this drawing school. And then I went on to art school for 2 years. This was actually one of the things we had to, one of the oppgaver, or one of the things I applied with to the art school. And the text was morning gretten, or morning angry, or however you translate that to English. And I just looked myself in a mirror and made an angry face and drawed myself. It's really naive naive drawing. It's really not any good, and it's very limited, as you can see. And I did get in for some reason. I did get in. Actually, one of my art school teachers, because there was another thing we had to do when I was in the school and doing some other tasks there. We got this task called what was it called again? I don't remember what it was called, but anyway, I made a bottle of fake apple cider, where I managed to take get apple into the bottle by removing the glass on the bottom and gluing it back on, and I made this new etiquette, as it's called in Norway, and that was my first and only conceptual art. Sadly, it's lost forever. I wish I had it, but I don't. So, and one of my teachers said, because of that bottle, I actually got into art school, and you tricked us, they said, because they really didn't like that I liked to paint and draw like this, and that this was what I really wanted to do. So I didn't get much help for the first year in art school. The second year turned into something better, because of a sculptor called Krzysztof Nasilovsky. He sadly died when he was 60 of cancer, and he was one of the best drawers and the best sculptors I have ever seen. And he had this deep brown eyes that he could basically look through you. I was scared as hell of him. But he told me after art school something very nice, because he actually taught me to the difference between objective standard and subjective reality. We had some course called micro macro, where we were weighing words against objects and stuff, and it really made me think. And he told me later that he could actually see how I evolved mentally when we had this thing. And he also told me when my stuff actually started to become something, the other teachers refused to see it because they had this meditated view of me as a person. And they probably still do, 30 years later. I wouldn't wonder that at all. Anyway, next drawing. Yeah, this is probably the second one when I applied to the art school, because the title here is the oppgaven, or the assignment is 6 in the morning, and I just drawed my hand with a toothbrush, and yeah, and it's the same limited drawing technique. As you can see, I saw all these shines in that thing. I probably was very pleased with it, but at least I'm starting to kind of try, and it incrementally gets a little bit better. So this is what got me into art school, and that bottle, of course, that I was talking about in the last segment. Despite that, I guess I didn't have that much technique back then, and that is clearly the truth. Anyway, next segment. Okay, back to painting. This painting was actually done summertime when in 1990. So I was actually waiting for getting into the art school, and I did this of the same girl, this painting of the same girl that I draw in that first drawing. So this is basically the only painting I ever did of her, and I think in 1991 or something like that we broke up, and and that happened. Now she was actually laying there as a model, and she was asleep, and I was painting in the middle of the night, and you can actually see how limited my skills were, how symbolic. I talk a lot about symbols when I talk about painting, and how we have symbols for everything in our brains. And this is the symbol for cloth, or for the pillow. It is a symbol for all the folds and stuff. You can see I haven't actually absorbed how they were. I have painted the symbols I have in my head. Now, in some kind of strange way, I like the painting anyway, because it's so naive and it's very real. It's very real. It is not fake. And if I could say one thing about, even when I didn't have any skill, I was never a faker. I never faked stuff. It wasn't good, but it wasn't fake. And you can also see that my understanding of texture and understanding of color was extremely limited. And yeah, but then again, we all go through the same thing. I've seen many people actually doing exactly this, amateurs doing exactly this, the same thing. And that is what I say. Humans are very much the same. We do the same mistakes, we learn in the same way, and we have the symbols for the same things in our head. To break that down, you just have to become better and evolve your eyesight and evolve your brain to see more things. And you also have to have the necessary honesty and evolve enough introspection to break down your own subjective opinions and basically start to see things more objectively. So, with this, next segment will be some self-portraits, and that might be more. Oh my gods. I found these in the same closet, and it's also from 1990, probably summer 1990, when I painted my ex-girlfriend, Heidi. The point is that this is just amazing. You see exactly what I'm saying. Everything is symbols. All the folds in the cloth, everything is symbols. The symbols in the faces, you know, everything is just, I had a lot of hair probably, or maybe I just thought I had a lot of hair. I used to have more hair, there's no doubt about that, but anyway, just look at this, how, and I was actually pleased with this, because I remember clearly bringing this to the teacher I had in drawing school during summer and showing her this. And I was also very inspired by the Norwegian artist Odd Nerdrum at that time. So I guess I also kind of, because of my naivete, I kind of tried to adopt his rhetoric, which I will also show you in some other paintings I've did, some self-portraits. Very, shall we say, over the top, hyperbole and cliche. So, but it's quite funny to see this, how incredibly bad it actually was. But it is kind of the same craziness which I had. I'm going to show you one more that is actually a little bit better. So you just stick around and see what's coming. Yeah. Oh my gods. As I have been said many times to people that that ask me to teach them how to paint, don't try to be an artist. I know Odd Nerdrum, the Norwegian artist, he also uses this, you know, this thing in his cloth in his forehead, what is called a pannebånd in Norway. Anyway, and I really try to emulate his kind of world or whatever. It was so over the top. It is just, and you see the thing I'm saying about all the symbols for everything, but it has this kind of almost narcissistic craziness in it, and it was a good thing. At that time I couldn't really see how bad things was, and if I had seen how bad it was, maybe I would never have been able to become a painter at all, because you know, this kind of naivety is just amazing in every level, and the cliche is basically dripping from it. This was my mind back then. This was who I was. This was how self-important I probably was. Not really, I think. Was I pretentious? Probably. I remember myself as a kind person, so I don't think I was a complete ass. I've never been that, but this stuff, it's fascinating. Fascinating to see today. And the expressionist is definitely there, and you can see that in all my works, but this is pretentious to absurdity. And it's quite funny. I'm so glad I have these things and look back on. Anyway, next painting, I think. Yeah. Okay, here we have a landscape also from 1990. It's from the church I actually just painted, and here you can actually see 1990. And the thing here, you can actually see how little I understand. Basically the branches are the same texture as the church wall, as the shadows. You can almost, so I didn't really understand how to make shadows become shadows and understand, but you know, it's a little bit more painted, so at least it's a progress of a kind. Very hard. Maybe I was out of time or something, but you know, I don't really remember. But anyway, that was one landscape in oil from 1990. And if you have seen my paintings now, my landscapes now on YouTube, I guess you can see the difference. Well, hopefully you can see the difference. Okay, see you in the next. Now, this is a funny landscape. I probably painted this summertime 1990 before I went into art school, and you can see how I just didn't know anything about textures, and I just tried to repeat what I saw, but without any skill to be able to do it. I also remember clearly how frustrated it was, because when I sketched back then, the sketches usually came out pretty good, but I had no way of finishing it, because I didn't understand how to stop or how to close the deal. And I clearly remember painting more and more clouds, and I kept changing them as the sky kept changing. Instead of just sticking to one type of cloud, I just kept on doing it. And the funny thing, it is actually out this from here. Buzz. It's out from here, in the same place. And it is kind of funny to think that I was doing this motif 1990 and I couldn't really do it. It was actually my father that came suddenly and was in the way. So I'm going to close this down, but it was nice seeing it, and now you... Yay, another self-portrait, and it's quite funny because it has the same hyperbole as the famous Norwegian artist Odd Nerdrum. I was very inspired of him also back then, and it's the same open mouth and the same kind of articulation of I would call fake emotion. You know, I want to be an artist, and yeah, I call it fake emotion. You fake emotion, and yeah. But anyway, the painting itself actually starts to kind of evolve, and I guess this is 1992 actually. So I had jumped forward in time a couple of years. And you see it's starting to become a little bit better. I do start to understand a little bit more about textures and stuff, but I still am a long way away from understanding that that is what this is all about. So yeah, and yeah, okay, I'm going to show you a couple of more. And yeah, so see. Yeah, here's another one of my Odd Nerdrum inspired self-portraits. The same hyperbole, the same fake emotion. And I was actually looking at a mirror, and I was painting myself in profile, natura. And you can see that I have started to understand a little bit more about shape and colors, as I said in this last segment. But it's a long way away. It has a lot of damage, sadly, because I've not been kind to my former paintings. It's almost like I didn't care about them at all. But now I start to care more, and I will take better care of them. And fix them actually, maybe get some frames to it, and yeah. Take care of them. It's very important of you to take care of your artworks for prosperity, and you can look back and you can actually see what you did. Now, it is honestly painted in an honest way. I'm not a pretentious. I wasn't pretentious in the brushwork, but you know, I did have this very romantic idea of being an artist, and I try to kind of make that come across in my motif, and today it just falls flat as quite pathetic, but at that time it felt right, I guess. And it was actually the beginning of the 1990s when there was a debate about what was art in Norway, with Odd Nerdrum and Vikshåland, and there was a fight between the people who wanted to do figurative art and the people who wanted to do kind of more conceptual thing. Much of the art world in Norway is ruled by money, by position, because there's a lot of money come from the state into art, and the people who is basically giving out the money is the same people who are ruling the art world. So, you know, personal bias and art politics is a bad thing. It's not a good thing. Now I'm going to show you one more self-portrait, and then I will move on to something else. Yay! Okay, here we are. This is one huge self-portrait that I never finished because I wasn't able to, I didn't have the skill to finish it. It was after art school, and I just worked for myself back then. Now, it isn't that bad. It is bad, but you know, it is starting to become something. It is also very inspired by the Norwegian artist Odd Nerdrum. I never went into becoming a student of him because I had this idea in my head that if he could learn how to paint, then I could learn how to paint. If he could learn, and he's a human, I am human, and therefore I can learn to paint. And I managed to do it, but I basically was very romantic and very much hyperbole and the same gaping mouth as he did. He constantly does it in his paintings, which I think is, despite that I find his paintings very good, except I don't like his colors, and that is a different thing. But the point is that he's a very good painter. There's no doubt about that. And I was very inspired by him, and it shows in this self-portrait. And I never finished it. I really just hit the wall, and I just stopped working on it. But it's nice to have it, despite it never becoming finished. So funny to look back on. Anyway, yay. You can also see that some of the painting technique is actually incrementally getting a little bit better. I still don't know what I was doing, but it's slowly getting better. Okay, this is a painting from 1994, and at this point my paintings actually started to become something. They are still not there, they're still not becoming good or stuff, but I do start to understand some basics with the color and texture and stuff, and I do start slowly to fall in love with shape and with colors and textures. And it's very dirty actually. I have to clean it up because I've been so horrible with my old stuff. I just put them somewhere in the barn, just let them rot, and it's just crazy. I really need to, because when I look at these paintings I can actually see my painting history and see that I started to wake up to the beauty of brushwork and stuff like that. And this is a good example of me actually becoming better. So yeah, she was actually a model. I missed that mark. I actually painted the foot out both there because I started up the wrong. It was also inspired by Rembrandt's anatomy lesson because of the perspective. And yeah, so I actually started to become better. Here you can see the signature, 1994. This is a painting one of my gallerist actually wanted to sell, and he got pissed off when I didn't want to sell it because I wanted to keep it myself. And now I've treated it like shit, so I should actually, you know, do better than that. I shouldn't treat it so badly. So yeah, treat your paintings good. I hope you understand what I'm saying here, because you know, you can see how I evolved over just a few years from that first drawing to this. And it is not more than 5 years from the first drawing until this. And that was because I actually worked like crazy. So yeah, cool. Next segment, a bigger painting, and then one more, and then a drawing, and then we're done. Yeah. Now this one is probably painted about 1993, and the girl on the left is called Matilda. She was a girlfriend I had for a few years, couple of years, and she was a very beautiful girl actually. Now, as you can see, I wasn't able to kind of get that right. You also see there's a lot of damage in the painting. A lot of damage. As I said, I have been treating my paintings very poorly. It's a sad fact, but I will start taking care of them, because it's, yeah, and that is me actually. It's the first angel pastiche I painted. For some reason it still sticks with me. And here I actually started to use classical painting skills by pouring in thick colors in the light areas. I had started to understand Rembrandt a little bit and these things. And yeah, it's called The Mask or something like that. And I don't really know what the idea was, but you know, it was very much hyperbole and very quasi-romantic, but spontaneous and kind of real anyway. This guy on this side, his name was Kevin, or is Kevin. He was a friend of mine for many years, a very important friendship actually, which I had with him, but sadly it ended. And as many other friendships I had too, they have ended. And things, despite I had long friendships with people and relationship with girls that has ended, I can point out these long relationships with girls or friends or men. Yeah, men is friends. I'm not gay, so wish I was actually. Could have sex all the time. Anyway, the point is that it was a very nice friendship as long as it lasted, and then it ended with a crash. One of the reasons was that he also was an artist, but he just couldn't get himself to paint. And I think in the end he started to hate me because I actually managed to keep going, and he just didn't manage to do it. He got this, and he actually blamed me once, and and that was after I had moved from Stavanger to Oslo. And he said, "Oh, I'm not painting because of you." And I said, "That is strange. I have been away in Oslo for 5 years now. I saw him like 4 times a year, and it couldn't possibly be my fault." But anyway, I have no idea what he's doing now, and I wish him well, because it was an extremely important friendship while it lasted. Sadly, it ended badly, and maybe we pick up again someday. We both have probably evolved as people, and you know. She got married and have a kid, and that's good. She is making clothes like my daughter, and I'm happy for her. So yeah, this is then the first angel pastiche, and I painted many angels since then. I will even do some soon for fun, you know. As an atheist, angels and mythical figures can be very fun to do. Actually, he was watching porn while I was painting him. That's funny. There was a TV over there. He wasn't looking at her. He was actually looking at porn. Anyway, that was a digression. So, a couple of more and then I'm done. Yeah. This is actually a drawing of Kevin, which I made. I used to do more charcoal back in the day. This was actually done in 1994. And he had so much hair, but then he lost it so fast. He lost his hair in record time, and so far strange. It wasn't funny actually, but it was so sad also because he had the biggest hair you can think of, and then it just fell off. But anyway, shit happens. I thought my hair was going to fall off since I was 17 years old, and I guess I've lost at least half of it in the front, probably 2/3 or something. But anyway, it's still up there. I used in this drawing, I both used pencils and I used all kinds of stuff. I have never learned to do charcoal. I just did it kind of how I could, and I think I got this kind of almost print-like quality to it, kind of etching quality to it. And I'm going to start actually doing more charcoal now. I'm going to start doing more of everything actually. So there's a lot of videos coming out on YouTube, both of drawing and painting and everything. So stay tuned for that. I just want to show this because it went from, and this was 1994. And if you then compare it to, you compare it to my first drawing, where the hell is it? Where's my first drawing? Well, the one I showed you in the beginning. What the hell was it? Yeah, there. Now, just think about that. You go from this to this basically in 5 years. It isn't bad. And as I said in the beginning, if I could do it, anyone can do it. If they have the stamina to keep banging on. And that is very important. If you have the stamina to bang on, you will be able to do amazing things. So keep banging on. And that's the message from this drawing. Now, this painting is a little bit fascinating. It's also one of the things I didn't finish. It is very inspired by Munch's Sick Child, and it was actually supposed to be a kind of a male rendition of it. I can actually see in this painting that I'm really starting to fall in love with textures and brushwork and everything. And I actually appreciated suddenly Sick Child by Munch immensely, a painting I didn't really think about anything when I went to the first year in drawing school. But I evolved into falling in love with textures and stuff. And here you have it, the brick. I love bricks. And this thing is made by my mother. And I'm actually wondering to paint it again soon. It broke, but I glued it together again. It's a beautiful. My mother actually does, does ceramics, and she's quite good. So I wish you would pick it up again. But anyway, as you see, I really worked with this, but I never finished it. Also, this guy's name is Steinar. He was also a very good friend of mine for many years, but that was also a friendship that ended sadly. And it might be because I was a little bit too dominating at that time. I was drinking a lot and I was angry all the time and stuff like that, but he also kind of didn't manage to. It's like he wanted to be an artist, but he never was able to go all the way. And I think he might thought that I stopped him or something. So he kind of basically broke up with me in a way, and I was sad because I loved him as a friend back then. But then I met other friends, so it's not really a problem. I do have very good memories from that friendship, and it was a very important friendship as the one with Kevin. So yeah, I wish him well. The last time I talked to him, we were actually arguing on Facebook about Israel. Suddenly it was this anti-Israel fanatic, and I used to be that too, because I was sternly on the left. I used to be very much on the left for a while, but I have evolved into more, not conservative, but more conscientious about. I read history, and I can't take any bullshit, so I support Israel because I've read history. Now there's a long video. I could make a video about it, and I'm also gonna make a video about. I made a video about it on my other YouTube channel actually, why I support Israel. And if you want to see that, you can go to All Things Artist Knut Andre Vikshåland. I'm gonna post. There's a link to that other channel in description. So go check it out, and you can see me talk about Israel. Anyway, it was another friendship that ended. This painting, I never finished it, but I appreciate having it. And I also should get a real fat frame to frame it in. I also like the shadow. You know, I started to understand how to make a shadow. You know, I realized you had to kind of make the same texture here as there, and then kind of make it look like it hits it and not just there's a hole in it. So it's a different qualities of painting, but I didn't have the skill to finish it back then. And also he was sitting on a model, and he was kind of grumpy all the time and stuff, so it's kind of strange. Anyway, and he yeah, went away. And also I had problems because the head kept growing, and that is a big mistake you must never do. If you start on a portrait or something, never you decide the size of the portrait from the beginning, and you do not deviate from it. You do not make it grow, because if you lose control over that, it's all gone. Okay? So, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna show you some of my copies of Rembrandt, and talk a little about to you after this, and then I see you in the next. Okay, last segment. I will tell you this. This is a Rembrandt kind of copy that I did back then. I don't know, probably 1990s or something, 1991, 1992. And well, as you can see, I didn't understand what Rembrandt was all about, the textures and stuff. But I did learn from it, you know, the roughness and stuff. I didn't understand exactly what he was doing. And I did this actually with acrylics, so yeah, so I did some copies of Rembrandt and stuff, and I would recommend that you do, but try to understand and look at the textures. This is actually 1990, and I guess this one too is about the same time. It is okay, but not great, you know. I did it on art school and did it quite quickly with acrylic paint. So yeah, I will do a lot of copies coming up because I want to learn from it, and also kind of work with famous artists and try to do like pianists do when they are playing Beethoven, to kind of add some of my own subjectivity to it and actually learn from them. So yeah, with this, I hope you enjoyed this long video. Hope you can give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, check out on Patreon, and if you want to support my work, there are tiers there. You can support me with 5 or 15 or whatever, and I will actually teach you how to paint. There's also a small Patreon giveaway every month, so if you sign up for $5 you can actually win one small painting in my Patreon giveaway. Really, it's very important that you give thumbs up, leave a comment, because I have problems getting into the algorithm, so please help. And with this, I hope to see you in the next video. And this is my studio, and this is how it looks. And there's my stuff, so all over the place. Actually a dead rat. Mummified rat I found in the hay. There's my cat I made a drawing of. Sheep cranium, dead bird, you know, the bird I painted. Some things ate him, all the fur. Anyway, so yeah. With this, I wish you a great life, and keep painting, keep loving, and keep having fun. Yes. PS, as a little bonus, I want to film a little bit from my childhood landscape. I'm in the studio, the old studio, and the sun is coming in. It's very nice in here when that happens. And I just want to show you how great it can be in this place where I grew up, and how inspiring it is. Yeah, it's my father who's making a lot of noise, and he's fixing up the motor on the boat for the winter. This is, I guess it is November. What is it? November. Today, what is it? November. I need to find my phone. See how beautiful it is. The light, the light, the light. Yeah, it's 4th of November today. Okay. I went empty for battery, so the sun got the time to come down. My father is walking his motor. Hjelpa til, eller? Nå er det på film, så hvis du detter nå, så blir det morsomt. Skal jeg hjelpe deg, eller? Ok. Just have to help my father move this. Ja, fornuftig å se til YouTube. So this is the view from the old house with the spider web. Usually it's kind of just rainy and blowing a lot of wind. When it is quiet, it's just strange, because it's almost you never get here. You don't really get used to when it's quiet and it's not raining. You know, normality is more like shitty weather. As I say, if you live here and you complain about the weather, you are definitely living in a wrong place. But this is perfect. You know, it's kind of cold, but it's not minus, and it is just totally still. It's just totally still. And these days are beautiful. And you notice horrible green color we painted when we were kids. We were supposed to freshen it up, and we kind of ruined everything. We painted this is the whole house. Everything is kind of you know, time kind of does things to things. And it's a very beautiful floor. You can't really see it, sadly, but it's kind of the roof is. I need to get some more light here. Did that make it better? Maybe. Well, you can see. Maybe you can see. Maybe you can't.
But anyway, this is the old house. It's like from 1820 or 1818. These are actually originals, so it's quite fun. And we have to make a new floor and stuff, but it is really cute. Have an oven here. So yeah, I love this house. Someday I'm gonna use this as my writing cave, where I can sit and write my memoirs and burn in this oven that you probably can't see. Fix it up and make it really beautiful, because it's a really beautiful house. And yeah, so that is how it is. You can't really see much, I guess, because, and it's the roof you see here just kind of leaked for a while, but it's easy to get it fixed. Actually, it doesn't take much, and the core of it is totally fine. And of course my father is filling up with shit we don't need. So it's probably a small sleeping room. And there's an attic also, with the stairs up here. It's a very small attic, but it's quite cute, you know. And we have this house from 1820 or 1818. And then the one over there, I have to change the light. The one over there was my grandmother's house. It's like from 1939 or something, right before the war. Yeah. Very old. Very nice. Love this place, you know. It's a place to live and a place to die. And if you want to have kids, it's really perfect, because, I mean, this is almost living in bloody Hobbiton or something like that. These huge trees and all this. It's really nice. We used to have a lot of berry trees here, but all these huge trees have probably sucked up all the nourishment. You can see the roots are just amazing. They are just crazy. Look at this monster. It's almost like a dinosaur. You know, it's just crazy. So you see here, thick. Probably the biggest tree we have. I just love it, you know. And it kind of avoided going under the house. Probably because there's no water there, no nourishment. But here it goes all the way. It's crazy. So, yeah. When you grow up in a place like this, you really get in touch with nature. I had great grandparents, great parents, a great brother, and thus I was a little bit of a loner for a while when I was a child, and I have some scars from that. My childhood was just amazing. And I guess that was one of the things that led to me evolving this kind of creative mind. A mind that has also gotten me into some trouble, actually, because being overly creative can have unintended side effects. But, you know, it's not, I haven't hurt anyone, so that is very important. I'm not the kind of person who'd hurt any other human being for any other reason than self-defense. And then I would be actually extremely ruthless, and I would be able to sleep at night if something bad happened, if I was attacked and I kind of hurt someone in self-defense, I wouldn't have no problem with that. That is my right, and if people want to be assholes, it is their problem, not mine. My father has a gazillion cats. I guess that is fun enough, you know. It's like, hei, hei, filmer deg. My father's cats. The apple tree. There's a lot of apples here falling down. They're not very edible, very sour, but they're very good in cake, in apple cake. Maybe I should bring some to Oslo actually and make my mom's apple cake. Oh yeah, I'm going to do that. Ja. Jeg tror jeg tar med meg noen epler til Oslo, og så lager jeg mammas eplekake. Jeg kan ta herfra.
Nei, det vil ikke ha sånn så bak.
Jo.
Nei, det vil ikke ha det.
Jeg vil ha det.
Vil du ha det, du kan ta det i bytter da.
Ja, ok, men jeg filmer nå.
Det røde der, masse rød.
My mother's and father speaking Norwegian. This is how Norwegians sound like. Dette er sånn som norsk høres ut. Jeg filmer til YouTube. Så nå er du med på YouTube. Nå er du world famous. Si hei, YouTube.
Gamle Vikshåland blir berømt.
Jo. Ja. Yes, and here's a lot of cats. There's one there that is just amazing, the black one. Well, all the one with the green eyes. See? What? Yeah, kind of fun. It's a cute one. They disappear, you know. They just whoosh, vanish, and new ones comes along. It's a lot of foxes and stuff, and probably eagles that takes them. And yeah, it's good because my father doesn't really have much boundaries when it comes to, you know, adding in more in the cat population. Another big tree, and you can see I'm actually gonna someday I'm gonna make a huge studio on the top of this. It's a house with a flat roof, and I want to build 100 square feet or square meters. Not square, but you know, on the roof here, and you can have a glass in the end of the room. We can actually sit and look out to the sea. You know, you can see the sea here, and it's always very beautiful sunsets all year long. So it's kind of a picturesque landscapes every evening. So that would be great. That is my plans for the future, and I'm living in Oslo, and I will keep living there too, but I will spend way more time here as I grow older. And even if I found a woman who wanted, you know, you never know, wanted kids. I'm 53 now, so maybe it's a stretch, but if I did, this would be a perfect place to have some cute babies, maybe with some cute big butt curly haired Cuban girl or something. I don't know, just the way I think. And it's so nice. We have big glasses here, so you can actually look out the landscapes. We are perfect place because we are on the top of a hill. So if there is a tsunami, we will not drown. And when global warming, that's inside my home or my childhood, I did a lot of fucking there. yeah. So very nice indeed. You can see here how it is. It's a beautiful place. Place to live, place to die. So that's the roof. I just built a kind of 4 meter tall etage. As in Norway we call it etage. Etage on the top of this. And that would be brilliant. Just fantastic. So now I'm gonna go inside so you can actually meet my mummy. And I'm gonna show you some paintings I made that is on the wall in here. Yes. Hello. Hallo, mami.
Jeg håper ikke det at du har...
Nå filmer jeg til YouTube, så nå må du oppføre deg. Ja.
Ja. Det er jo godt å være så mye trygg.
Ja, ikke sant. So, here's the view. Nå filmer jeg rommet ditt, så nå må du... View. Det er ikke fint, vel?
Jo. Det er det, vet du.
Nå er du world famous på YouTube. Snart. Som old... Som old, ja. Ok, det er litt mørkt.
Du kan jo ta det uten det brettet, da.
It's a nice place. A couple of my paintings. And actually an old... I painted this of the same girlfriend that I showed you in the video, Matilda. And it was a nude I painted of her in Natura, actually. She was laying in a mirror. Now there are things with this. You can actually see I painted a lot with a knife back then. But it's quite nice, actually. So that's an old self-portrait when I was still a happy, young, pretentious artist. So me as a confirmant, I was 15. I was in love with Monica, and she was from Argentina. She had a big butt and dark skin and pink miniskirts, so that was a amazing thing. You can see my mother. She was young. She was beautiful, really beautiful. My father, not so bad actually, him also. And I guess I got some of both of them. I didn't become as pretty as my mother, but you know. And that's my brother when he was about 20 or something, 25 maybe. Me as a kid. Me as a kid. Me as a kid, as a little cowboy. I was actually in New York when I was 5 years old, and I still remember it. Bedroom, bathroom. Yes. Ja. Tralala. Ja, bare filme litt. Ja. Sånn. Filme litt. Dette andre er kanskje noe å se på. Så, selger TV. Another bathroom, my brother's room. The drawing, and here is my... Ja, kan du vänta lite? Here is my room where I used to do my teenage stuff. you know, the sex thing and stuff like that with Monica. That was a time. That was a meatball I painted years ago. It's a cat. Another painting. Yeah, the one I showed you. Ah, nu håller jag på att filma. Kan du... So, yeah, it's bad light in here. But anyway, I just want to give you a kind of feel to how it is. Yes! Ja. Filma rotet ditt. Filma rotet ditt.
Ja, nej.
Ja, nej.
Jo.
Både ja og nei.
Filmade jag de 2 lanternene, originallanternene.
Ja, lanternene.
Det är borta.
So, my dad's messy room. Ja, det er ikke så messy nå, det er faktisk bedre nå.
Hæ?
Try to find something here. It's really difficult. You need something, we have a billion screwdrivers, but you try to find one in this house, it's gonna be hard. Because there's so much stuff. So much stuff. Yes. And here. Some old stuff. You know. Yeah. So, this was a walkabout in my childhood landscape. I actually forgot to go into my grandmother's house. But, you know, that's how it is. Sometimes we just forget. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the ride. And I just made this to... Maybe you're interested in why I became the person I am. And why I became an artist. And you look around here, it's obvious. It's hard to avoid, actually. Anyway, have a good one. Peace out. Stay cool. Give a thumbs up. Leave a comment. And hope to see you in the next video. Yay. Remember the Patreon. Support. Yes.